think people know that that's you grabbing me at the end of that introduction from our Dallas Opera Carmen?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even think I knew. I don't even think I noticed it. Actually, I get every time I watch it, I get a kick out of seeing Susie Graham play the accordion at the end. Yeah. Anyway, what's going on, man? It's been a week, and it's been a long week.
Did something
Very
happen?
long.
Did anything happen this week? I mean, it seemed pretty quiet. I didn't hear crazy cheering for hours outside my window or anything. I didn't nothing. I didn't hear anything going on. It was pretty quiet. Terrible weather. Also,
yeah, terrible weather. New week, new president, new beginnings. This is an eventful week. I have to tell you, between electing a new president and this fantastic weather and the fact that they just said that they may have a COVID vaccine that works 90%. That may be released. I think we are, as a country, on an upswing. What about you, Gideon? What do you think?
I absolutely think so. And by the way, like I promised to you, I looked it up before the show. We were wondering if, in the headlines they say that the vaccine is going to be 90% effective, right? Is what they said. So as it says, Pfizer saves the world again. By the way, this is the second time Pfizer has saved the world. Let us not forget Viagra. Okay, so that's very important that Pfizer is very effective. But so I looked up. It said 90% effective. The measles vaccine is 93% effective, and that's considered, a real, slam dunk. So this is really good. My father, who has a real background in medicine and worked for Johnson & Johnson for many, many years, he described the results as thoroughly unsurprising. He's been following this whole thing and the nature of the virus, and he said it's totally unsurprising, but still wonderful. But
why does he find it unsurprising? Did you
unsurprising? Ask him? Unsurprising insofar as how the nature of the virus and how well the trials were going. From the very beginning, from the get-go, and the fact that there were so many other vaccines that were also proving to be effective. But hey, let's pump it out. Let's get back to the opera house, shall we?
Does he still have a connection with Johnson & Johnson? Is he able to be like on on some of these testings or the vaccine trials? Or
he was in a different division. I don't know. I could ask him. He is pretty well connected. Even though
I'm just curious if they're next. I'm curious if they're next.
They might be. They might be next. They had a very good trial actually as well. But you know what? There was also some other good news in this week, which I didn't tell you about, Stephen. Actually, that I was gonna share with you right now, and that is that friend to the show, who I like to refer to as my draft pick, Rachel Blaustein, won the district winner. So Rachel, of course, who was on our show several weeks ago, she won her division. We're very happy for her. Mazel tov, Rachel. She did. I'm sure she did. I didn't hear it. We have to ask her about how that was. Like, I know she told me she got her feedback like virtually and everything, but we're star makers here, Stephen. I don't know if you know that.
Well, I'd like to think that her winning her district was a result of being on our show, but maybe not. Maybe she's just a good singer.
Maybe she's just a good singer. Absolutely right, Stephen. We have quite a show today, though, don't we?
We have a great show today. I'm very excited about this show. I know some of our viewers are excited about the show. They've already told me. Do you want to do anything before? Or do you want to get right into it with our guest? I mean, I feel like we should get right into it because
I want to get into it.
The poor guy has been up all day long. It's now I believe midnight where he is in Italy. Yes. And let's bring him on. Look, because like I said, I don't want to make him wait. Our show today, we have a very special guest. I'm a big fan. I'm sure every tenor that has ever seen him is also a huge fan, and he is no stranger to every opera house in the entire world. He sang at all the major ones. He sang at the Met. He sang at Vienna Staatsoper. He sang at La Scala. He sang at the Royal Opera House. He sang in Dresden. He sang in Barcelona. He sang in Valencia. He has sung everywhere. Not to mention, he has many recordings under his belt. He just came out with a solo album, Vincero, on Universal Music Group. He's featured on the Il Trovatore DVD from the Royal Opera House, L'Etoile from the Châtelet, on Opus Arte DVD, and was also Gramophone's DVD of the Year. Benvenuto Cellini, which was also Gramophone's opera recording of the year. This guy has done it all, and literally, when we talk to him, you'll hear his rep has really gone from Rossini to Verdi. It's unbelievable. Without further ado, please, let's bring on Mr. Gregory Kunde.
Here we go. Wait, did we not get to yours? I did it again. You know, I blow it every time. You know, I get so excited.
I just gave a fantastic introduction, and you ruined it.
You did. I ruined it. You know,
so anticlimactic.
Fire the technical director. That's me, because there's an extra option. Okay, can you say that without further ado? Say that again.
Without further ado, Mr. Gregory Kunde.
All right, that's better. Thank you. Here we go. I'm just glad I don't have to compete with that, Steven. Oh, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Oh, man, that is one of my favorite arias, and you really sing the shit out of it.
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Hey, Greg, you know what? It's really fascinating. Tell us, you're in Italy. Can you talk to us about why you're there, first of all?
Yeah, okay. Well, after having about 7 months of gigs canceled, this was the next one to come back to, and it was supposed to be performances on, what's today? No, tomorrow's the 11th, right? Mm-hmm. Performance were supposed to be
Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, Wednesday,
the 11th. Yeah. Wednesday the 11th, the 14th, the 16th, and the 19th. We were supposed to do Verdi's Otello here in Bologna. Bologna, Italy. And unfortunately, the Italian government put a stop to performances with the public. But in any case, they allowed us. That was those were the words that people were getting onto, is that with public. So we couldn't do any performances with public, but we were able to do rehearsals. So we rehearsed, and we completed our dress rehearsal yesterday.
And do you know?
Well. And now we go.
Do you know?
Now we go home.
So they're doing the dress rehearsal because they want to reschedule it. Obviously, they want to try to reschedule it to an opening time when the theater can reopen. Correct?
Yeah, when the theaters open and when the artists are available. So I have a meeting with the administration tomorrow, but and to talk about that and other things as well. But yeah, I thought when I came over here there was not that stipulation. When I came over here, they were still planning on doing the performances. That happened about I'm going to say like 10 days into our rehearsal period, when they shut everything down and told us we could only do the rehearsals. And I have to say the opera company's been really good, and they're paying us a little bit, so that's nice. And not going to get sent home with zero in the bank. So at least we're able to pay our bills or something anyway.
Yeah, right. You've made more.
I'm over here.
Yeah, you probably made more money on that one show fee. You probably made more money than most opera singers in the past 8 months. So,
including myself.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
We
had
since March. Since March, I had let's see, probably 16 performances in Italy canceled, and I was supposed to be also in Los Angeles doing Aida. Is that right? No, Yeah, no, Trovatore. Sorry, we're supposed to be doing Trovatore,
It's all the
and they
same.
canceled, of course. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
parody, whatever.
Yeah,
And
I
that
think
got canceled, so we were out.
unbelievable. And you and I have talked about this. You were nice enough to give me some advice when I was coming. I was planning on coming to Italy to do a bohème that actually got canceled the day they shut it down. I was going to be on the plane that morning, and they shut down the theaters. They shut down everything. So I no longer could fly because I had no reason to get into the country. So it's really insane. But Italy has been trying to make things. Italy's been trying to make things happen. They've been doing it up to this point, and it just so happens that they unfortunately had to finally close. Are you still there? Is he there? He looks frozen.
Yeah, we got
him. Sorry. Yeah, I am. I had a little funky little thing where everybody went out there for a minute, but anyway, yeah, they were doing very well actually, and they had the whole campaign here is that the safest place to be is the theater because of all of the restrictions that you have to go through and all the protocol that you have to go through here, and you have to get tested and they take temperatures and people wear masks, of course, in the theater. Everybody's silent. You sit in the the intermission times to a very minimum, and people go back in and we're in and out in 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and that's it. So, but the government was not really. They didn't really buy any of that, so we're not able to perform. Spain is still doing some performing in Madrid. The Zarzuela and the Real are still performing. In Valencia, they're still doing performances also. But Barcelona and Asturias, where Oviedo is, have shut down. And of course, all the rest of the theaters in Europe basically are shut down. So.
Yeah, I mean, none of the theaters in America have shut down.
Yeah, all of them. I think, and I think we can all see the writing on the wall with the Met canceling the whole season and Houston and the Canadian Opera, and I think the Chicago canceled their season as well. I think that's right. Is that right?
I think they may have. Yeah. So, Greg, I wanted to ask you because I'm
Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
we're a little bit delayed, so go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, it's because we're going from America to Italy. That's of course what it is. No, but to me as a tenor, your career has been so fascinating. I mean, you have literally sang every fuck in the tenor voice. Like you've gone from Rossini to Verdi to Big Verismo. You've done it all, man. When you started, I believe, what was it? You made your debut Chicago Lyric, right? When you were 24?
Yep, 78.
78, 24 years old.
24.
And from there, you've sustained a career for, oh my God, man, you're an inspiration to all of us tenors out there. So how did you navigate from singing high bel canto to getting into this Verismo music? How did you get there? I think we lost him again.
Yeah,
we got him.
It's not really a secret, unfortunately. My Wi-Fi must be really not doing well. But it wasn't really a secret for me. It was using the bel canto technique, which was, instilled in me in the mid '80s, early '80s, I guess. I was really lucky to have Alfredo Kraus as sort of a mentor to me at the beginning of my career.
Wow.
And kind of went his pathway, and it was pretty cool. And he really taught me patience. He taught me how to phrase. He taught me the high voice, and I kind of found bel canto after his tutelage. Even though at the time there wasn't a lot of bel canto to sing back in the early '80s. It wasn't until maybe the late '80s and early '90s that there was a lot of started to be bel cantos to sing. There's Bill Russell, I see in there. Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Bill Russell gave me some excellent
Bill watches
jobs,
every
I'm
show.
Tell you. Opera Columbus, baby. Opera Columbus and Anchorage Opera. Had the best time out there. It was so fantastic. Fantastic. Anyway, yeah, so I started to sing bel canto a little bit later than everyone else. I sort of got into it. My Puritani became a very big role for me, and I made my debut doing that in '87, and sang it all the way till 2007 was my last run of them. Was at the Met, as a matter of fact. So sang those for 20 years and had a ball singing those things. And so that technique is sort of ingrained in you, in that, how to phrase and how to manage the high voice, and try not to think of the passaggio. I hate that word. It's the P. I call it the P word. But
it's all right. A little connection. That's all right. He'll be back in a second.
So things. I'm going to keep going.
We can still hear you, I think.
We can hear you.
Just a little frozen.
Yeah. We'll get that going.
What'd you miss? Sorry. Am I still there?
I think we missed most of it from when you froze.
Hang on a second.
You said you held on to the bel canto technique and tradition and phrasing, and then
hanging on to the bel canto stuff, and then when I switched into this the Verdi roles, it was after having sung a lot of Berlioz things, as a matter of fact, singing Cellini, Damnation of Faust, and John Elliott Gardner talking me into singing Les Troyens back with Susie Graham in 2002, 2003, something like that. And so that was a fun thing to do, but it really gave me that transition, and I found that voice. I found that the voice that I needed to transition. It was not easy, I have to say. That there were a few years there where I thought, I don't think this is going to work anymore. I kept trying to sing bel canto things that were not comfortable anymore, and having been told for so many years that you're a Rossini singer. It is a incredible. It was a blessing, because I really had a wonderful time singing Rossini and sang a lot of stuff. But it was a curse also, because you get pigeonholed into being a Rossini singer, and nobody wants you really to move on. Even though women do it all the time, tenors are pretty much prohibited from doing that, and you probably will find that out with other singers too. They're being pigeonholed. But I decided that, look, if I'm going to go on, if I'm going to continue singing, I have to find something else to sing. And I credit my Italian manager, Marco Impallomedi, for finding me a gig with Gianandrea Nozeda, and he encouraged me to audition for Maestro Nozeda. Actually, I was singing La Damnation de Faust with him in Birmingham, England. Manchester, England, where he was doing the BBC Symphony. And Marco said, he's going to ask you if he likes you, he's going to ask you to sing Vespri Siciliani. And I said, oh, I don't know what that is, but okay. So anyway, I did the first part of the rehearsal of the Damnation, and he calls me into his office and says, I'm doing Vespri Siciliani. You would be fantastic in this. Would you like to sing it with me? And I said, Maestro, I have no idea what that piece is, never heard it. No, I've never done really any of those kinds of Verdi things. But if you think I can do it, I'm happy to do it. I would love to work with you. So that was the acceptance thing, without ever having to sing a note of the score. But he was very helpful, and I found some really amazing stuff in that piece in Vespri. And from that, I was just kind of launched here because it was a big deal. The production was new. It was with Davide Livermore's production in Torino, and it coincided with the 150th anniversary of the Renaissance of Italy, Risorgimento, 150th anniversary. So it was broadcast on Rai 5, which is the broadcast. They broadcast a lot of music things in video, and so people, when they saw the advertisement for the Vespri, they said, Gregory Kunde? That could not be him. No, it's got to be another guy. There's no way he's going to sing Vesper. Anyway, it was me, and then Marco's phone started ringing off the hook, and I got a lot of things from that, and I get to sing Ballo in Torino as well, and a year later, I sang my first Otello in Venice, and that was quite an experience. That was intimidating, but it was an amazing experience with Maestro Myung Chung. Who is one of the most incredible Verdi conductors in the world, and he was incredibly helpful as well. I've been very lucky to have had great conductors help me along, and I did that Otello, and about 6 months later, I got a call from I was in Zurich at the time. It's a very famous story. I was doing another production, and I got a call from a lady named Helga Schmidt, who used to run Les Arts in
the late Helga Schmidt.
Yeah, the late Helga Schmidt. And I had never met Helga before, but she had my cell phone number from my manager in Spain. So she called me and she said, "You don't know me, but we have never met, but I'm Helga Schmidt. I have someone here who would like to speak with you." And so he said, the person came on the cell phone and said, Gregory, I've heard so many good things about you. It's Zubin Mehta. And I went, what? Maestro. So Zubin Mehta is again on the phone with me. And he said, I need you so badly. You have to come to Valencia to sing Otello with me. Maria Agresta is here, and she says you are fantastic. And I went, what do you say to that, right?
Yes.
But I'm in the middle of another production, and I said, Maestro, I have to, get permission to go from Zurich. And he said, okay, well, you have them call me. I will tell them that I need you. So I gave them his phone number. Nobody called him, and they wouldn't let me go. And I said, I didn't ask permission. I'm telling you, I'm going. So I went to do the production, and I got fired. So Zurich fired me from the job I was doing. I won't say what it was. Probably people know what it was. But in any case, I got a chance to work with Zubin Mehta, and that was fun. Really a lot of fun. He's been a champion of mine for the past few years, and since I've known him, and he's great. And but the Verdi things have been it's been a continuation of Bel Canto for me. I use the same voice I have always used since the the early 90s, the late 80s and early 90s. It's just that the voice has grown, and it's gone through a couple of changes. And if you are patient and you can manage getting through those changes, you'll keep your voice in shape. And I've been very fortunate to have picked the right things to sing and have not overdone it, and have not sung any Wagner, and which I keep getting begged to do, and I just can't do it. I can't do it. Anyway. So that was a long answer to a short question.
It's funny. You had mentioned that you felt like you were getting pigeonholed as a Rossini singer, but I mean, and I listen to your old recordings all the time, as well as your new ones, like a lot of the clips that you've done from other productions. And to me, you've never sounded like a Rossini singer. Yes, you had the tessitura, you had the high notes, but you always had this full presence in your voice, which I personally love. I think that's great. I mean, there is an idea of what a Rossini tenor should sound like, and it's this lighter voice that's very flexible, and you have all the flexibility, and your voice isn't light. Your voice isn't small.
Well, and what happened was when I first began to sing Rossini back in the late 80s, early 90s, the Rossini tenors of the day. Bruce Ford, who had we have similar types of voices. Bruce and I, we were able to sing both. In the serious Rossini operas, there's always a lighter tenor and the baritone tenor. they're the two protagonists in the operas, the most serious operas. So Bruce and I were able to sing both. As a matter of fact, in the opera Ermione, he was used to singing the role of Oreste, who is the lighter tenor, the more florid tenor, and I was used to singing the role of Piero, which is the baritone role. Well, we were asked to come to the Dallas Opera, both of us, and switch roles. So I sang Oreste for the first time, and he sang Piero for the first time. And in the musical rehearsals, it was really funny because we just go, so what should I do here? What's the thing? How you do? He goes, yeah, okay. So, and when you go to the high top, like, okay. So we're just collaborating on both, how we had managed both of the other roles. But yeah, Bruce was an example to me. Of course, Rocky Blake was an example also of the whole Rossini Renaissance. And Rocky's voice is inimitable. You don't try, but you hear the ease of singing that he has with his technique. And the other was Chris Merritt. Chris and I are really good buddies, and we were collaborated a lot too. I covered him forever. I covered everything that he did, and never really got a chance to sing much because Chris never canceled. So. But it was those fun years to do Rossini, and like you said, I really never thought of myself as a Rossini tenor either. I was always more comfortable singing Donizetti or Bellini or even some of the French things, Romeo and Manon and Faust and those kinds of roles. They were much more comfortable in my voice. So,
as a tenor, to me, it's really fascinating. If you don't mind me just picking your brain a little bit, you have not been singing high bel canto for a while. You've been doing a lot of verismo, a lot of big Verdi music. However, recently I came upon a clip of you singing A Mes Amis, and it's still flexible. It's still, you still keep, your top is still incredible. What routine do you do? Do you do a routine every day to keep your voice that high? Because your top is still spectacular.
Well, I don't know about now, but that clip was from like a concert with piano, right? Is that what you saw?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. That's been like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. Anyway, it's still.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years ago, you were still singing this music.
Yeah, well, it would not be as easy today, I don't think. But in any case, when you get away from it, it does become a little more laborious. Let's put it that way. And I don't have any kind of routine like that, but I do. When I warm up, I was talking to Larry Brownlee actually the other day on his sit down thing, and we were talking about this as well. The warm up thing for me has always been sort of an enigma, only because for years, at the beginning, I really didn't need to warm up that much. So I was like, I took this from Krauss too, because I would always walk past his dressing room. He could walk past and keep walking, walk. You'd never hear a note. And he'd sing like 2 notes and he'd go out and sing Romeo. It's like, what? Amazing. But I mean, I didn't like copy it or anything, but you could tell that if you had your voice in shape, it was, you could usually walk out and just do it. So that was cool. And to do like a thing that you did some special things. I wanted to know where and that was about.
We'll get him back.
Tell me what you missed. I think we want to.
Oh, there you go. We missed you. You were talking about. You just finished talking about Krauss and how he didn't warm up. Can you hear me? Mm-hmm. It's got that Italian internet over there. It's on lockdown.
Yeah, I hear you now. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, great.
My Wi-Fi is really in not good shape. Anyway, so anyway, Krauss would do a couple of things, and then I used to warm up just to find out where the voice was, and what I had to do to adjust maybe when I would get out on stage. What's going to happen out there? Is it going to be laborious or is it going to be easy? I was saying that Tom Hampson always amazed me the one year I sang William Tell with him in Vienna, and Tom would literally get in the makeup chair 15 minutes before the show begins, and he's right at the beginning, not a note out of his mouth. He'd walk out on stage and just sing. I mean, the man was amazing. He's just incredible. But now, getting a little bit older, it takes a little bit longer. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tired tonight. I did dress rehearsal yesterday. Anyway, so it takes about, I need about a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes to warm up. And the warm up consists of starting to go as low as I possibly can. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. But that's my warm up. I always go as low as I can. And if you catch me in the morning, if I have a music rehearsal sing in the morning, I can usually get to a low C below low C. The Russian choir low C.
I can't. Jeez, I can't even do that.
So I can go pretty low. And then it just kind of stretches out. Yeah, it kind of stretches out.
That's true. I have my teacher tells me the same.
It's a freaky voice, man. It's just really freaky. But so I do the low part and then kind of go higher. What's that?
Yeah, my teacher tells me the same. You warm up your lower voice because you're already getting that stress in the lower voice stretch in the voice to where your high notes are going to be anyway. So you warm it up slowly from the bottom and then work your way up. Man.
Greg, I had a question for you. You
and
talked
then it
about
stays. Then you kind of know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No,
Greg, that's all right. You mentioned Bruce Ford. Bruce Ford happens to be one of my all-time favorite singers. He's friends with me on Facebook now, which I still get a little bit. Oh my God, we're friends on Facebook now. I saw his barber at the Met in the late '90s when I was in just starting college. And I was introduced to your voice around that same time, a little bit later. No, actually, a little bit later when you were doing a little bit more robust repertoire. The idea that you guys split a role to me, and I can't even wrap my head around that you guys would have the same role. That's number one. The other thing I was going to ask you was, you mentioned how some people couldn't believe that you moved on to the sort of. That some people couldn't believe that Gregory Kunde had moved on to the Verdi stuff. Well, in preparation for this show, I learned that you did that bel canto repertoire. That's where I learned that. I'd been used to you doing the more robust repertoire, so I'm having the opposite effect right now, or sort of today, that you ever sang that kind of stuff is just mind-blowing to me. What a versatile voice.
Wow. Well, thank you. It's I made my career pretty much doing the lighter stuff. So, and I said this to Larry the other day. Rossini bought my house, so so and that was so it was really great. It was fun. Had a lot of fun doing it, and I miss it. I miss doing it. And the last Rossini role I sang was in La Scala back in 2015. I did Rossini's Otello.
I was going to ask, are you the only singer to have done both Otellos?
The role of Otello, yes. There was another singer named Francesco Stagno. No, what's his first name? Stagno was his last name. And he sang the role of Rodrigo in Rossini's Otello, and he sang Verdi's Otello. But the last Rossini Otello I sang in 2015, that was the end of July, and in the second week of August that year, I went to Peralada and sang Verdi's Otello, 2 weeks of each other. So So that was, I think, a record. Anyway.
Did you actually sing? Have you ever sung Rodrigo in the Rossini Otello?
No. No, that was past.
Oh man, if you would have done
that was past the light tenor time.
If you would have done that, you would have probably been the only person in the world who ever sang every tenor role in every Otello. Because you made your debut. You made one of your early did Costello, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh my God, that's incredible. You worked with Kraus, and for me, listening to you sing and listening to Kraus sing, I mean, the voices are just so, to me, are different. You have a much fuller sound than Kraus did. And the one thing that you both have is longevity. I mean, you've kept your voice for throughout your entire career, and it's never faltered. Your top is always there. Your middle is always beautiful. What kind of things did you learn from Kraus? If you could pick one thing that you learned from Kraus that stuck with you to today, what was it?
Phrasing. Yeah. I think I would put phrasing / coloring the voice. He was a master of fraseggio, and he was a master of coloring the sound and just in the right way. And when I was younger, I kept hearing this word. You have to color the voice, and I had no idea what that meant until I heard Kraus, and I couldn't do it. I mean, it took a long time to be able to have the confidence in your voice to actually make different colors with the voice, and that's what I took away. I mean, that's vocally what I took away from him. But what I took mostly away from him was his comportment on stage and off stage, how he was with colleagues and young people. And me, for example, I mean, I was literally in the first year of my career. I had just met him, 1978. I was doing Brühlmann in Werther, and you probably know who that is. He sings one word. And Kraus was Werther. So that to me was so amazing that he would take me under his wing, and every time he appeared at the Lyric Opera, when I was there, and I was there for 4 years in the apprentice program there at the Lyric Opera Center, and also I was there like 4 or 5 years after that. And every time he would come, we would have a lesson or whatever, just a sit down. Mm-hmm. And he was a gentleman, and his wife was amazing. And I always remember what he did for me, and that's what I do. And I have started to do maybe for the last 10 years. When somebody wants to have some advice, I'm happy to give it to them because it was done for me, and that's what we do. We continue the art. That's our job. Our job is to advise people coming behind you, because it's not just you. Then it's the next guy behind you who has to continue it when you're done. So and that was Alfredo to me. He always was a special man.
You mentioned color, and it's fascinating because you said it took you years to figure out how to do color in the voice. And can you talk about that? Because I feel like we have a base of young singers that listen to us. I don't know why they watch our show. We have nothing good to say, as I always say. But I find one of the biggest issues that young singers get into is they try to do too much color too early, and it kind of makes the technique sway a little bit because they're not quite technically ready for it. Can you talk about the process that you went through to get there?
I think once I heard that I should be doing it, I would try it, and it really never kind of worked because I was not, like you said, I was not really settled into the technique as one should be, and but I think it comes along, and I use the words confidence in what you do, and I needed my wife to tell me this. Gosh, we met each other in 1986, and I never really got to the point where I trusted it until I was in the 90s, and she said to me, you don't have to try and sing so loud all of the time. And
is she a singer, your wife?
Yeah, she is. And and I never thought of it that way, because when I was first beginning, the first maybe 8-9 years of my career, the big critique of my voice was that it was nice, it was well produced, but it was very small. So I always had this in the back of the head thinking, I got to really sing loud, I got to really produce it. So it was always my first question. not how was it, but could you hear me? And I think, when you grow up in the lyric opera and you've got 80 people in the pit and you're doing your little compromario thing and you come out and you sing your 6 lines, it's not how did you do? That nobody really cares. Could you hear me?
Right.
That's the only thing that matters.
That's my first question every time. Greg, I had a question for you. You mentioned that you said, I won't do Wagner. Have you been asked and you don't want to do it? And if so, why not?
No, I have been asked, and I was asked, gosh, I'm going to go back to 2008, I think. I was asked to do Siegfried in the Ring in Zurich, and I said yes, and then I you'll appreciate this, and I said yes because it was like, sounds like a good idea, they were very convincing, and so I was asked by my Pereira in when he was in Zurich, and. So I didn't really know anything about Wagner, and I had done a couple of compromario things in lyric many years before, but I didn't know the repertory at all, nothing. So I asked Tom. I was singing with Tom Hampson that year, and we were doing Dr. Faust of Busoni, and so I said, Tom, can we have coffee tomorrow? I had a couple of questions to ask you. So we met up and had coffee, and I leaned over and said, Pereira asked me if I'd want to sing Siegfried next year, and in 2 years in the Ring cycle. They're doing a reprise, and I said, do you think I could sing it? And he said, absolutely, you can sing it. I said, that's part of the Ring, right? And he went, I'm glad you asked me that. So you talk about ignorant,
We've all done it. We've all done it. Don't worry.
So I get home. When I get back from coffee, I walk home and it's like an hour later, and I open up my computer and there's this link to he had bought me the recording of Siegfried with I forget who it was, so I could put it on my iPod at the time and listen to it. So anyway, so Tom helped me out there, but I said yes because I thought, why not? It's time to do it, and it was in that transition period. This is before I had started to sing any Verdi or anything like this. And I talked it over with my agent after that, and with other people that I trust in music, and they all said, you be very careful, because when you do that, especially in this time and that time period, like 12 years ago, you kind of give up what you're doing, and all that stuff in between that I had hoped maybe someday to do might not happen. So I kind of said no, and I had to renege on the proposition. And I've been asked many times to do some Wagner things. Yearly, I get offers to do them, and I'm not there yet. 67 years old, kind of getting late, but I'm just not there yet. I'm having too much fun doing what I'm doing, And,
so this is how good of a singer you are. You left a production of Zurich to work with Zubin Mehta. You accepted a production in Zurich and then canceled, and yet you still go back to Zurich. That's how good of a singer you are.
Well, no, I have to say, I've not been back to Zurich since then. Anyway, yes, I'm persona non grata there right now. So anyway, no, I'm just having a lot of fun doing what I'm doing, and it's a blessing. I mean, I should have been done, 15 years ago. So I'm really feeling great. So
speaking of,
I'm going to say before you go on, I want to say thank God you said no to that, because you've now have done Otello, which is fantastic. I think it's great. I've seen your Ballo, it's fantastic. I've seen your Trovatore, it's fantastic. You have now done all these hard Verdi roles, which we don't have big Verdi tenors to really do, and you do them so well. And I guess thank you for saying no to that production, because now we have this in our library of performances that we can watch and we can learn from.
Thank you. I'm really happy. The ones that you mentioned are really they've become very special, especially Othello. It's just a very special role to me, and he's right here. And Trovatore, that's a tough man. That is a tough one. I'm telling you. When you look at the score, you think, it's not that big a deal. But man, it's tough. It's a tough role, man.
And thank you, by the way, for doing everything in key. Thank you very much, by the way.
Thank
you.
Anyway,
thank you. It's great.
When I did it at Covent Garden, and that was my debut, as a matter of fact, in Covent Garden at the age of 63. And and Nozeda was conducting, which is kind of cool. And the other tenor that was singing, the other cast, he did it in the other key. So the orchestra was like, where are we? And so, it's...
And the orchestra remembered every night to transpose to keep it in key 3, right? There was none of those.
They got I think the Piera is just it's only one page for the orchestra, so it's you got in B natural here and B major here and C major over here, so you just got to make sure you're on the right page. Anyway, so I'm supposed to do it in or hopefully in May we'll do a Trovatore in Los Angeles, but. We'll give it a shot. We'll try and do the C. Still doing the C. So.
Wow. Well, if it happens, man, hopefully we can come out and see that, because I would love to see that one.
I'm hoping that they'll be back. I don't have a lot of confidence in it, unfortunately, because of I don't want to change the subject too much, but we're talking about U.S. theaters, and the reason that the theaters here in Europe have been able to continue. Hey, Rusty, what's up, my brother? And the reason that the European theaters are able to continue is because they have government funding, and they are able to, if they're open, they're able to perform with 50% capacity because the rest is made up by the government. The U.S. and the U.K. as well, even though there's some government funding there, they just can't survive if you can't put 100% of the audience in. It's already when your subscriptions sell out. I remember Danny Newman telling us this from Lyric Opera back when Danny Newman was the PR guy, the inventor of the subscription series. If that's some good trivia. And it was him saying that in the heyday, back when they had Pavarotti and they had the Domingo and they had all the great singers, when they could sell out a subscription 104%, they could oversell a subscription. It's like the airlines do. They would sell 104%. It still didn't even it wasn't even half of the budget. You still had to make that up. You had to make that 50% up with donors. And they still have to do that, no matter who you're talking about in the United States. It's private donors and your ticket subscribers. So when you can only do 100 or 50%, that's another 50% of your budget you got to make up, or 25%. Put it that way. So, it's really, as a business proposition, and Broadway's having the same problems. They can't go on if you can only put half the audience in there. If you have in the normal times on Broadway, if you're only selling 75% of your seats, you're going to close because they can't afford it. So and
I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but also some of these opera houses, they don't make all the money back that they spend on these productions, even when they're fully sold.
Yeah,
not even close.
They're trying to subsidize the money that they spend. They're just trying to take some less away. By the way, we got Russell Thomas signing in, and he's another one of these guys that is on his way to being another great Verdi singer. So we'll have two of you for years to come.
Russell's the Othello man. He's the man.
Yeah, I saw him do it in Washington this year. It's fantastic.
I love this guy.
Yeah. I had a question for you, Greg. Considering the incredible longevity of your career, what are some of the things that have happened in the business that have changed in a major way that you might think were for the better, and maybe some things that have been left behind that you wish were still around?
Wow, that's a great question. Wow, that is a really good question. Okay, this is something from an old guy, somebody who grew up in the late '70s, early '80s. The music rehearsal.
Specifically,
When I started, we would have 3 weeks of rehearsal before the technical on-stage orchestra rehearsals began. 3 weeks of rehearsal. But the first 3 days of the rehearsal period was music rehearsals only, with the conductor, with everybody there, sitting around in a circle, first 3 days. So that when you got to the stage, there was no question about what you were going to do. Nowadays, we go and we start rehearsing staging without ever having a musical rehearsal. Like, we all just know it. We all know what the conductor's going to do. And most of the time, the conductor's not even there. So, we're working with an assistant or with the pianist or which is fine. But when the conductor comes, we have a music rehearsal 2 weeks into rehearsal process. It's backwards. So that's bad. Let's go back to that. Can you hear me? Let's go back to that.
I agree with you. And it's funny. I don't think one singer would have a problem with coming in and doing 1 week of just music rehearsal before you even stage. I mean, because you learn so much from not just your colleagues. You learn it from the conductor. If you get a great conductor like a Nozeda or Fabio Luisi or Levine or Muti or someone like that brings so much to the table, they can only open things up to you, make things easier for you. And we need that.
I will tell you something. The great conductors, and you mentioned one, Nozeda, Meta, Papano, these guys require you to be there from day one because they are. Mm-hmm. Well, and I remember working the last time I worked with Tony in Otello last year. Papano, sorry. And he is there from day one. You have music rehearsals with him first. You also have coachings in his room, in his studio, with ensembles and things. He wants it down. He wants it solid, and he's at every single staging rehearsal. The guy is always there. Nozeda was the same. The only time they're not there is when they're doing an orchestra rehearsal, a reading rehearsal that they have to go through. And Tony tries to schedule those things when he doesn't have staging rehearsals. So that's really a blessing. That's when you really get it down. I remember you were talking about Susan Graham. That clip of her playing the accordion is too funny. That's awesome. I've known Susan since she made her debut in Detroit, singing Stefano in Romeo. I was singing Romeo with Ruth Ann Swenson back in those days.
Mm-hmm. So she was on our show. She said she learned how to play that during COVID. She learned how to play the accordion.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I always have this thing about conductors. I always say about conductors. The not so great conductors just follow you all the time. They just follow you. They're there. The good conductors collaborate, and they work with you, and have a collaboration. The great conductors get you to sing your best and make you think it was your idea, because they're just so good, and they just open up so many possibilities to you. But they never sacrifice and say, "This is my idea." They say, "No." They make you think. I mean, I had the same feeling with some of the same conductors you've worked with. They get the best out of you, and they just make you think, "Oh, I'm really doing that." And it's not them. It's the way they support you. It's the way that they help you freeze. It's the way they give you the space, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, and that's we always like to say singers, conductors. Yeah, they are that, but it's because they love singers. It's not because they're just kind of they want to follow you or whatever. But they really enjoy. Tony was. I mean, I know Tony since as long as I've had my career. He was a repetiteur in Chicago back when I was an apprentice there. and I worked with he and his wife Pam Bullock. So Tony was, a conducting or an assistant conductor back in the day, and and then we got to work together finally in the last 10 years. It's been fantastic. But it's because these guys, not only do they love singers, but they know how to sing and what you do when you sing, and that makes a huge difference. They're able to tell the orchestra how to react to that. I don't mean to keep talking about Tony, but when I did Othello in Covent Garden with Jonas's debut, and he did 5 and I did 3 at the end with different casts. So it was me and Dorothea Rothman, sorry, and Lucic. But we got our own Italiana orchestra rehearsal, just the 3 of us, and this was before we started our run. So we got in front of the orchestra, and Tony was there, and before he even gave the downbeat, he said, "Look, we've been playing this piece. We did all the lecture, the reading rehearsals. We did all of the ACMs. We did 5 performances with the other cast. This is a different cast. I need you to listen to them, exclusively them, because they're going to do it differently, and we're going to do it all differently. They're completely different. Okay, here we go." And it was like, whoa, he really said that in front. It's amazing that he respects us that much to let them know that this is all going to be different. And that really made a huge impression on me and all of my colleagues as well. But
I remember
that's a great conductor.
I remember when you did that Othello, because I got a text message from 2 of my friends, Ian and Ollie Rosenblatt, all caps, saying, "Greg Kunde is singing his face off right now in Othello."
Still here.
Yeah. Still here. Oh my God, it's incredible. It's funny. It's not the only time you sing that. My wife plays in the Met Orchestra, and she came home that night after you jumped into Samson and said, "Oh my God, that was great." And even the other day when I said I was having Greg on the show, she's like, "Oh my God, he's so good." So you're doing it, man. You are.
Oh, thank you.
So then, what's good?
That was fun coming into the Met where they got out of the blue. It just kind of came up. It was cool. Sorry, Gideon. What did you say? Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, the delay. I keep on stepping on people. I'm sorry. I was wondering. So that's what we need to go back to. Hopefully something. What has changed for the better in the business during your illustrious career?
I think I'm gonna give props to, let's put it that way, to the American tenors. And I'll tell you why. You got Rusty who's chiming in, and you'll have other tenors, and you and I, and we don't have rivalries like we used to have. We all support each other. And I think that is the most incredible thing. And it's the thing that has rubbed off on the Italians, especially the Italians. Now, we don't have competitions anymore. There's not like, if you see another tenor across the room, you leave. No, we're a brotherhood. We all know that this is a tough ass business, and we need to support each other. And sopranos are doing it too. You have double casts and stuff. Usually they would never hang around each other, but now it's just just right here we had 2 casts here in doing the Othello, and the let me see, the Othello, the Desdemona, and the Iago were double casts. So there were the 6 of us, and then the Comprimarios. We hung around together all the time, everybody together, eating together, because we were rehearsing together. And it wasn't like, okay, you guys sit over there, you're the second cast. No, everybody's together all the time. And it's like that everywhere now. And I think that's the best thing, that you have to know that, and I say this all the time, when you arrive at the Opera House and you've been hired to do that job, and there are 2 casts, here's the deal. You all got the gig. So just support each other. There shouldn't be any rivalry there. When I was at Covent Garden with Jonas, the first thing I did when I got there was I went to find him, and I said, "Bro, if you need anything, you call me." He said, "I know, because you've done this a lot." I said, "Yeah, just tell me what you need. I'm here to support you, because I got my 3, he's got his 5, and we're different, but we're there to do the same thing. So it's really important, and I think it's really important for you young people out there, if you're listening, when you don't make it a competition. We can all be friends here, and we can all support each other, and we should, because the Devo and the diva thing. In the early part of my career, I saw a few of them. I saw a few Devos and divas, and it was so unpleasant, and they were never the stars. They were always the underlings. They're going, "Why are you acting this way? Who are you?" And I was like a little guy, Compromario, But when back in having been able to work with some of these incredible people, anybody, Vickers, Pavarotti, Domingo, Krauss, Mirella Freni, Sutherland, Horn, they're all just great people. These are the people you want to emulate. You want to know that they're artists, but they're still people, and it's great to, if you want to talk to them in you're working with them, everybody just talk. People come up and say, "Nice job, could I have?" Sorry, but I don't mean to give you the finger. I had to stay home for a week because of this. I split my finger open. Ow. And it's healing.
Did you jam it?
So no, I don't want to talk about what it did. It was awful. I had to get it stitched. I had to go to the hospital and get it stitched up. I had to stay home that week. Anyway, yeah. But Maestro, can I have a word with him? Yeah, come on in. Oh, I don't know. No, get in here. Come in. Don't be afraid. What do you got to say? And I was wondering, maybe you could hear me sometime. I'm a tenor. Yeah, sure. Write to me on Facebook. So they write, and we set up a thing, and and that's the way it should be. We're here to help.
Unbelievable. Greg, you have some time. We do some stories. Should we do some stories?
Yeah, we talk about stories.
I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're probably tired. You had a dress rehearsal yesterday.
Not at all.
It's pushing 1 o'clock.
You're waking me up. It's fantastic.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll do some stories. So one of the big stories of the week, of course, is that sadly we lost Alex Trebek. The great host of Jeopardy has passed away after a long battle with cancer. Greg, what do you have to say about Alex Trebek?
The answer is... Sorry. I watched, I'm an old guy again. I watched Jeopardy back before Alex Trebek was on. He was back when it was first out. But when Alex Trebek took over, it was like such knowledge in this guy. And from what I understand, he was an amazing man, and very kind, and very just kind of like the guys that we've been talking about. Always wanting to be helpful with people on the show. He was a terrific guy. And pancreatic cancer, that's a bad one. It's not for the faint of heart. You, unfortunately, as a cancer survivor, you probably know that already. Myself, that when you get the diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, that there's probably your time is limited. And this man lived all of his life, but the rest of his life, when he found out, he lived it to the fullest. I mean, he worked until 10 days before he died, which is amazing. And God bless him. He will be missed. And that show hopefully will be able to go on, and they'll find a replacement for him. But it won't be the same. He was a special guy.
No, it won't be the same, especially considering it looks like George Stephanopoulos is trying to go for that gig now, apparently. So I would say that would be a downgrade.
No.
For that role. I mean, come on, just stay in your lane, George.
Yeah.
Steven, any thoughts on Alex before we move on?
No, just kind of the same thing that Greg said. But you know what? He always managed to incorporate arts and classical music into Questions in Jeopardy. He did a lot of specials from the Metropolitan Opera, whether it was the costume department or backstage or something like that. And I really hope whoever they get to replace him does keep that in the show, because he was a big supporter of the arts. And it showed.
Yeah, I think a woman would be good. You know,
change. Yeah, change.
Did you just call Gideon a woman?
Yeah. Well, no judgment here, so that's fine. So
Yes.
in our new, I don't know if you noticed, Greg, but what's that?
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, of course. In my, I don't know if you noticed, I've been putting up your site and your streaming for your Vincero album. So there was a story out of so now classical music is actually on the increase for buying. During the pandemic, we did a story a few weeks ago that there was a real upsurge in people buying classical music. The problem, and generally because that's an older audience, they buy their music more than stream it. But the problem is now the streaming issue for us musicians. So these musicians in England, specifically, I believe it was Tasman Little, the violin virtuoso. She started to do some calculations over how pithy these are, how weak these rates are. This guy here, he did his song on loop. He had someone do it on loop for 2 days, and he wound up making a whopping 87 pence for 1,000 streams.
Wow.
He goes on to expand the math a little bit more. Let's see if I can find this here. He said if it were streamed 24/7 for a year, he'd get a whopping 172 pounds for for this. So I mean, I'm on Spotify as well, though it's not my.
No, me too.
So maybe Steven as well can chime in on this. Though the album I'm featured on is different. It's not I don't have royalty rights to that one. Can you speak to this? I mean, is this as bad as it looks?
I have no clue. I know that those things are on. My album is on Apple Music and it's on Spotify and those kind of. I have no clue of what, because the way that I produced my album was that I basically paid for it, and they put it on, and I doubt that I'll receive any royalties at all, because it's just the way it came on there. I receive royalties every once in a while from some of the commercial stuff that was recorded years ago with EMI and with Decca and stuff like that. But as far as my personal stuff goes, I won't receive a penny, I'm sure. But there's not enough streams that'll happen.
There's a growing chorus now about this stuff. Oh, no, definitely nothing for me. But there's a growing.
But it is as bad as the article says, because I get from my last album, I get a update every once in a while of how many streams, how many albums sold, things like that, and you make no money off of streams whatsoever. And the problem with that is it's not that us as musicians want to make millions of dollars off of an album. If that's not really why we do it. I mean, it would be nice, don't get me wrong, who wouldn't want that? But the other issue is the cost of making an album. The cost of making an album is very expensive, because you have to pay the orchestra, you have to pay for rights, you have to pay for this crew. And if people are only streaming it now, you have less of a chance of making another album unless you pay for it yourself, because
that's the thing.
It's about recouping how much money you spent, and they try to recoup it back.
The only way you're going to make, and you probably won't even make any money. When you hear about, this is my opinion, and I have no backup for this at all, but this is assumptions from me. When you see artists who are signing contracts with DG or with Decca or with whomever, They're signing exclusive contracts with these guys. As you said, selling these things today is not as attractive as streaming. But like you said, Gideon, older people or the opera fanatics, they will probably purchase.
They'll buy, yeah,
because they want to have the disc, they want to have the book, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But people who have Spotify or Apple Music or Google, what's the one? The Google Music, is it
Google Play Store? Yeah, I don't know how to do that one. Yeah, it's Amazon now too.
Anything you have to pay for the streaming service. I have Spotify. It's like a monthly thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to be buying any of these things, and even if you have an exclusive contract with a recording company, unless you're Taylor Swift or you're somebody that ilk with that kind of cachet, you're not going to make any money doing any of this stuff. The good part is if you have an exclusive contract is that you have that company who will support the recording, and you won't have to pay for it out of your pocket. But you're not going to make any money, and probably they won't be making any money on it either. But it's sort of a losing proposition,
It's funny you say that about
how they continue.
It's funny you say that about Taylor Swift. I believe I read an article about Pharrell and his song "Happy" was streamed 44 million times, and he made $2,400 off of those streams.
Yeah.
I mean, how much better can you do than that?
No, I don't know. But I know that my daughter is a huge Taylor Swift fan. And I know that these kids, they do Spotify, but they also buy the albums too because they want the paraphernalia, and these pop artists, they don't make money on their albums anymore because of the streaming thing. What they make money on are the tours. When they I can tell you from experience, my daughter had tickets to go to Taylor Swift's concert. That was supposed to be this past summer in Los Angeles. They were going to go to Los Angeles. It was her birthday present. She's 18. It was her birthday present, and she was going to take two friends, and her mother were going to go out there and see the concert, and then drive up to Seattle. I was supposed to be in Seattle doing a gig up there. Well, it got canceled. But I want to tell you how much the tickets were, and we got them. They originally came out. The price that they originally came out was $1,000 a seat, 1,000 per seat, and they were going to be the first event in the SoFi Stadium where the Los Angeles Chargers play right now. 85,000 seats, and they were going to sell it. They sold it out. And I think there's only like 45 or 50,000 seats for a concert, but.
Wait, are you telling me that they made $85 million if they were $1,000 each? That's $85 million.
That was the top ticket. The smallest ticket was about $250.
Still,
so they're making some good coin. Let's just put it that way.
It'll be interesting,
but it's huge. I mean, it's a huge production. There's no question about it. And of course, she's not putting that money in her pocket. Not all of it, but she did pretty good. But it's not just her. Any of these pop artists that are out there touring, they're making some good money, and that's where they make their money.
It will be interesting to see if more pop artists and rock musicians start to speak up now about the streams. Now that all the tours have been canceled, canceled, and people are listening to the music, and they're not making as much money because all the tours. It'll be interesting to see if they speak up and this starts to change or have a renegotiation of these streaming contracts.
Yeah, and they've been sort of canceled like us, They've not been able to do the work that they were supposed to do. All these things canceled, put off till next year.
So our final story, Greg, do you wear?
They can put them on.
Do you wear contact lens by any chance? Contact lenses?
I used to a long time ago. I don't do it anymore. No.
Yeah, I never have. I've had a couple put in my life. Steven, I know you don't. I'm pretty sure you don't wear contact lenses. What would you say about an automatic contact lens remover? Yes, a robot, a machine. Now, the story behind this is, I know it sounds crazy, but the story behind this is actually really noble, as many scientific and medical inventions are. This man started to have mobility issues with his hands, and of course the shaking when you put it in. So he's invented this machine, this man here, Craig Hershoff, and apparently unfortunately the story doesn't have a video. I was dying to see what a video is, but as he explained, I know, can you imagine? As he was explaining it, I'll see if I can demonstrate for you, so I don't have to read the story. He basically, it's a machine, like imagine this microphone, where you look down, and with a essentially like a joystick, a very slow moving robotic hand that's very soft. It can detect like within nanometers of where your eye is, and it takes out the contact and puts in the new one.
Wow.
It has to go through the approval process, of course, but man, human ingenuity between this and the vaccines that are coming. Would you use something like this?
My eyes are very sensitive, so even when I wore contacts, I mean, I had to like, and still, my eye, as the thing is coming towards my eye, it's like, don't put that in there, so, I don't know that would work. And I'm like, and when I go to the optometrist, sometimes they get that puffer test,
yes,
like that.
Yes, they don't need to do that anymore, I understand. They don't have to do the eye pressure test as well.
No, thank God. But every time
scary.
I've gone in there, it's like, okay, just keep your eyes open, and it's coming.
Yeah. Steven, have you ever done that test? Have you ever done the eye pressure test?
Oh man, that's tough.
I don't remember. I haven't been to the eye doctor in years.
There's eye pressure, and it's this machine, like you put like through the thing, right? And suddenly this thing comes at you slowly. You're like, oh my God, what is that? And you're waiting. It goes. It just lets out this thing of air. It doesn't hurt or anything.
No,
just a little bit of air, but it scares the shit out of me every time.
Here's the problem. They only do it one eye at a time.
Oh,
the first one works. The first one's fine. And then the second one's like...
You're scared. It's so... No! I mean, it's completely harmless. It's like somebody going...
It's just air.
In your but it's... You're waiting. When's it coming? And it's just... It just scares the hell out of you every time.
It's weird.
Before we go, should we talk about the Pfizer announcement today on the vaccine? Did we talk about it?
Yeah. I said they saved the world twice. Do you want me to? I can put up the story.
We didn't talk about it with Greg. Greg wasn't on there yet.
Oh, that's right. We could do that with Greg. Hold on. Let me find the story here. Okay, let me just get it going. Right. Yeah, I was. Yeah, so here we go. The New York Times gives a nice big old display for this. Pfizer's early data shows vaccine is more than 90% effective. Greg, Pfizer saves the world, like I said, a second time. What do we think of this?
Yeah, I heard the first one.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do any better than the first one, truthfully.
Yeah.
No, look, and I think as you said, it's 90% was way more than they had expected. Way more. I mean, they were hoping for 60. Mm-hmm. And I have doctor friends that were thinking that the most that you're going to be able to get is like 50. Because the flu shot that we take every year, that's between 30 and 50%.
Yeah.
That's as good as they can do with a flu shot. So if you're really talking about 90%, that's magnificent.
Like I said, the measles is 93%, and that's
but
usually gone.
Again, I think it takes years to get that, and I heard them talk about smallpox as well. Smallpox is probably like 97%, which is pretty impressive also. But to start out to have your first vaccine is at 90%. That's damn good, man. That's damn good. I mean, this is Pfizer. Maybe. I don't know that. Yeah, probably. If it was offered to me, I probably would take it. Yeah. I think at my age, I would probably take it. I could fake being elderly. I am elderly, but I'm trying not to act it. But
don't let them see your Othello. They'll put you in the back of the line.
Get back there. Let's see some ID, pal.
Yeah. Awesome.
Anyway,
all right. Greg, thanks so much for what an absolute pleasure. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, speaking for Stephen, to say what a joy to have you on the show. Pick your brain, have this conversation.
It's a big honor to have you on the show. We've been looking forward to it all day, and you just have we could sit here for hours and hours and hours and talk to you and pick your brain because you have so much knowledge. And I mean, again, one of, if not the best singer out there today, and it's really such a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you to you guys too. We had a great time and great questions, and really loved it. Really had a great time.
Yeah,
anytime.
And please keep us updated. Keep us updated and let us know. Let us know what's going on in Europe, and let us know when the Otello, if it opens, the Otello and
yeah, they may even stream it. We never know. You know, they did record it. They recorded it for posterity with like 6 cameras. So never know.
Excellent. Well, you let us know. Yeah, we'll advertise it on the show. Yeah, and we'll advertise it on the show too, and be great. So, well, thank you, and for everyone who really enjoyed the show, we do this every week. I mean, I don't know if every guest is Greg Kunde, but we do this every week. So tell all your friends. Same bat time, same bat channel. Yes, Steven.
And Gideon, we're putting the link to Greg's album in the chat.
Yeah,
as well,
I can do it right now. I will do it right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Here's Apple Music. And there's the Apple Music link, and I'm going to do the Spotify link now.
And don't just stream it. Go and buy an actual hard copy.
Yeah, come on, buy it. I don't
come on.
Any money anyway.
He can't buy a drink with 87 pence. Come on.
Exactly.
Let's go.
You can get not even a straw for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. So for the great Gregory Kunde, for Stephen Costello, and for myself, Gideon Dabi, thanks for watching Dabi and Costello. We'll be back next week, Monday.